It's Kenton Becker with American Pacific Mortgage, and I'm here again with another weekly video tip. Now, this week's tip is a continuation of last week. We're on the theme of credit. What I want to talk about this week is 10 tips to improve your credit score. I'm going to go through these pretty quick because I don't want this to be a 10-minute long video. If you have any questions on these tips, feel free to comment below, send me an email, send me a text, give me a call. I'm happy to go into more detail with you. Tip number one is apply for and open new credit accounts only as needed. Don't go crazy and open 10 different credit cards. That's not going to help your credit. You need to be strategic. You're doing it with a purpose. Tip number two, don't close your unused credit cards as a strategy for raising your score. When you close out a card, you're going to lose all that payment history on that card, the good history. Keep any bad history. So a lot of times when you close out that credit card, you might be losing 5 or 10 years of perfect payment history just by doing that. That can hurt the credit score. So give me a call if you have questions on it, and I'd be happy to show you some ways that you can get rid of credit cards and not have it impact your credit score. Tip number three is if you're trying to build credit, don't open lots of new accounts too rapidly. This is like opening the fire hose on your credit and all of a sudden it blasts it with a bunch of new credit. You're not going to know how to handle it and it's going to impact the credit score in a negative way. Tip number four is pay off debt rather than moving it around. Move it around, you're not really solving a problem, you're just kind of managing a problem. And get on a plan to pay off the debt, and that's going to improve your scores and look at your overall debt picture as well. Tip number five is try to keep balances low on credit cards and revolving debts. We talked about this last week, that this impacts your credit score. It's the number two thing that impacts your credit score. So tip number six is pay your bills on time. Payment history contributes to 35% of your credit score. This is the number one thing that impacts your credit scores. Tip number seven, reduce your debt load. Come up with a plan to chip away at debt. This is working with a financial advisor, working with a counselor. The state has counselors that can help with budgeting, but this is basically just getting your debts in line and coming up with a plan to get rid of debt and pay off your debt. Tip number eight is dispute errors. An error on your report can cost you valuable points. This really applies to somebody who hasn't paid attention to their credit. It is always good to pull your credit at least once per year using the free services out there like annualcreditreport.com or freecreditreport.com or any one of the credit monitoring services. If you use those, you'll be able to see when an error pops up. You need to dispute those errors if they shouldn't be on there and get them removed. Tip number nine is if you've missed payments, get current and stay current. A lot of times there's not too much you can do if you've actually missed a payment. Best advice is time. Start making your payments on time and do that for a long time and stay current, and that's going to help improve your credit score and really turn your credit score around. Tip number 10, the last tip, is check your credit report regularly. Any free services available online for this. Again, this is kind of piggybacking off tip number 8 with disputing. You need to stay on top of your credit. Now you can go directly to the credit bureaus or you can use one of those free services like I said before. Those are 10 tips that you can use to try to improve your credit score this next year and help you hopefully get into a house, or if you are getting into a house, get an even better interest rate with better financing. Thanks so much for joining me this week and on this series about credit and cleaning up your credit a little bit. Hopefully it helped you. Give me a call if we can help with anything else. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.